I shouldn't have taken that shot. I've hunted these woods since I was 12. Never had a reason to be scared out here. I know the ridgelines, the streams, the sound deer make when they crunch through the undergrowth. I know how a branch sounds when a squirrel hops across it. I know the silence when something bigger is nearby. That silence is what tipped me off. It was about an hour before dusk, cold enough for my breath to hang. I was perched in my tree stand with the crossbow cradled across my lap, waiting on a buck I'd seen on my trail cam the night before. Huge thing, with a scar down its neck and antlers like twisted roots. But when it stepped into the clearing beneath me, something was off. It was limping. It moved, like it didn't know how to walk on legs. Kept tilting its head too, like a dog trying to understand a noise. Then it looked up, not at the tree, at me. Its eyes weren't right. No reflection, no glint, just pits. Sunken, too deep, too wide. I should have lowered the bow right then and there. Should have backed down and climbed out, left the woods and never looked back. But I didn't. I fired. The bolt struck it just under the rib cage. It didn't bleed. It didn't flinch. It just let out this low, wet sound, like air escaping a drowned lung. Then it dropped, legs buckling beneath it, in this awkward collapse and didn't move. I waited, watched. 5 minutes passed, then 10. No twitch, no sound, nothing. Finally I climbed down. It took everything in me to walk up to that thing. My boots crunched too loud in the dead leaves, my breath too sharp in my ears. The closer I got, the more I realized this wasn't a deer. It looked like one at first, but the proportions were off. Legs too long, neck too thin, the fur had patches missing, revealing pale, blistered skin beneath, and its hooves weren't hooves, they were hands. Long, bony fingers curled under like they'd been broken, and reset the wrong way. The flesh between them was webbed, and the antlers, they weren't antlers. They were bone, gnarled, branching outward from the skull, yes, but they spiraled inward too, like the thing had been growing inward on itself. They twitched. I turned and ran, didn't even grab my bow, just sprinted the 3 miles back to my truck, got in, locked the doors and sat there shaking. I told myself I imagined it, shock, adrenaline, whatever. I just needed to get home, get warm, and sleep. But something followed me. It didn't make sense until I got home and opened the door to my cabin. Every light was on. I live alone. I slammed the cabin door shut behind me and locked it. Deadbolt, chain, even slid the old dresser in front for good measure. I don't even know why. I live miles from anyone. No one's out here. No one's supposed to be. But I felt it, like something was still behind me. I kept telling myself I was just shaken, that I'd seen a diseased buck, shot it in poor light, panicked, that none of it was as bad as it seemed. But that didn't explain the lights being on. I always shut them off before I leave. Habit. Out here, every bit of electricity counts. I moved from room to room, checking the doors, windows, closets, shower curtain. Nothing. No sign of a break-in. No footprints in the dust near the door. No scuffs on the floor. Just that same weird hum in the back of my skull, like the air was vibrating. I turned off the lights, one by one, didn't want to draw attention to the house. Then I grabbed my rifle and sat on the couch with my back to the wall. I don't know when I nodded off, but I woke up cold. It was pitch black. I could see my breath. The air felt wet, heavy, like I was breathing through a soaked rag. The fire had died to coals, and the windows had frosted over from the inside. Then I heard it, knock. Just one, sharp, low on the wall, maybe 6 inches off the floor. I sat up straight, heart jackhammering, listened, knock, same spot, front of the cabin, just under the living room window. I turned on my flashlight, swept it across the wall, nothing. Another knock, this time behind me. I spun around, knock, knock, lower, slower, from beneath the floorboards. I aimed the flashlight down. The floor was just pine planks and dust, but I swear I saw one of them move, just slightly, like something pushed up from underneath and the wood bowed. Just for a second, I didn't breathe. Knock, 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 now, at the back of the house, then the hallway, then the base of the kitchen sink. It was circling, under me, and then it stopped. I waited. Minutes passed, no sound, no movement. I got up, tried to calm myself, and padded toward the hallway. That's when I heard my voice. Not a voice, my voice, from under the floorboards, whispering. I must have passed out again. When I opened my eyes, the sun was bleeding pale light through the frosted windows. My back ached from sleeping on the floor, the rifle still clutched in my hands. For a moment, I thought I'd dreamed it all. The knocks, the whisper, the voice. Then I looked at the window. 4 long, vertical scratches carved into the glass from the inside, as if something had been trying to claw its way out. and below them, just visible in the frost on the floorboards, was a handprint. It wasn't human. Too wide, too many fingers. The imprint stretched out like something had melted into the wood, leaving behind an oily residue that shimmered faintly in the light. I reached out, touched it, still damp. I don't know what compelled me to lift the edge of the bedspread, but I did. There was nothing under the bed, except for another handprint, and a drag mark leading toward the hallway. That's when the air changed again, still, heavy, like the world was holding its breath. Then something slammed into the front door. Boom! I jolted, stumbled back into the wall, rifle up. Boom! The whole frame shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. The chain lock rattled like a scared animal. Then silence. I crept toward the door, breath caught in my throat. Every step slower than the last. The third hit didn't come like the others. This time it was low, like something had dropped onto all fours and was pushing its head against the bottom half of the door. The wood began to bend inward, creaking under pressure it shouldn't have been able to take. I raised the rifle. Something spoke through the crack in the door. Not words, just a mimicry of breathing, like someone trying to sound human, drawing in air and letting it rattle out again, wet, croaking, like a throat filled with fluid. Then it laughed. My laugh, perfectly replicated, just a little too loud, just a little too long. Then came the whisper, again in my voice, from beneath the floor. Let me in. I'm cold. I backed away, trying not to scream, trying to remember if I left the back door locked, if the windows were shut, if the rifle jammed. I don't even remember pulling the trigger, just the sound of the click, and the sickening realization that I'd never cleaned the chamber. The door creaked again, slow, splintering. Something thin was beginning to poke through the crack where the wood split. Not a hand, not a claw, something Bonnier, jointed wrong, like a centipede made of fingers. I didn't waste time trying the rifle again. Instead, I shoved the couch toward the front door with all the force I had, threw the kitchen table against it, dragged the bookcase from the hallway and tipped it over. I even knocked over the coat rack and wedged it under the door handle like some kind of medieval brace. Something on the other side scraped along the wood, slow, purposeful, like nails or teeth. I backed away and ran to the radio. It's old, military grade, set to pick up emergency channels. I'd rigged it with a signal booster last winter when the snows had made it impossible to get out for days. It should have worked. I spun the dial, static, clicked through the presets, static. Then something came through, not a voice, not at first, breathing, then a rustle, then my voice, recorded. But it was something I'd never said. Don't shoot, it said in a panicked whisper. It just wants a way in. Let it in. Let it in. I dropped the receiver like it burned me. Another station buzzed to life. It was me again. Same voice, same tone, only now I sounded calm, pleasant. I was cold, I said, but it's warm inside. You'll see. I shut the radio off, yanked the battery out, threw it across the room. The thing at the door didn't like that. It slammed against the frame again, harder this time. Splinters rained down from the edges. The couch jolted. The table legs skidded across the floor with a shriek. I ran to the back door, still locked. I pulled a heavy dresser in front of it, nailed shut the windows I could reach, taped over the vents, shut the flue in the chimney and pushed the coffee table against it. Then I stood in the center of the room, panting, heart thudding in my ears. The house went quiet again, and that was worse. I don't know how long I stood there, 10 minutes, maybe an hour. Then came the tapping, not from the door, from the window. I turned, slow. Something was standing just beyond the frost-glazed glass, thin, wrong, its head tilted at an unnatural angle, its two long limbs twitching at the joints like they didn't know where to bend. It didn't move, just tapped, one finger, then another. Then it opened its mouth, wide and wet, and pressed it to the glass, and whispered my name. I'm posting this now because I don't know how long the power will stay on. If anyone's out there, if anyone's reading this, please send help. I don't think it's trying to kill me. I think it's trying to replace me.